The year was 1972, and the Cold War had reached a fever pitch of paranoia that extended far beyond nuclear silos into the very fabric of human consciousness. In the shadows of the intelligence community, a terrifying rumor circulated through the CIA and the Pentagon. The Soviet Union was pouring millions into psychotronics, a field focused on weaponizing the human mind. The American intelligence apparatus feared a psychic gap more than a missile gap, believing that if the Russians could peer through walls or influence minds from across the globe, national security would become obsolete. This existential dread gave birth to Project Stargate, a classified umbrella designed to explore remote viewing, a controlled form of ESP that allowed a person to describe a remote location, person, or object regardless of distance or shielding. What began in an unassuming laboratory at the Stanford Research Institute under physicists Russell Targ and Harold Puthoff soon evolved into a formal military unit at Fort Meade, Maryland. There, the Army's Intelligence and Security Command recruited men and women who possessed anomalous mental signatures. These were not crystal ball-gazing psychics, but disciplined soldiers subjected to rigorous, double-blind protocols to ensure findings could be quantified for real-world missions. The atmosphere at Fort Meade was one of intense secrecy, where individuals like Joseph McMoneagle, the program's most famous viewer, would sit in a darkened room, entering a deep state of relaxation while a monitor provided only geographical coordinates. To skeptics, it sounded like madness. To generals desperate for an edge, it was a frontier that could redefine the nature of warfare. The methodology of Project Stargate was grounded in specific stages designed to bypass the analytical mind and tap into what researchers called the universal matrix of information. Viewers would start with simple ideograms, reflexive marks representing the initial hit of energy, and build up to complex sensory data including smells, temperatures, and structural details. One staggering success occurred when a viewer was asked to find a missing Soviet Tu-22 bomber crashed in Africa. Using only his mind, he provided coordinates that led a recovery team directly to the wreckage, shocking the Carter administration. It was moments like these that kept funding flowing for over 2 decades, as the program was tasked with everything from locating kidnapped officials to peering inside high-security nuclear facilities in the heart of the Soviet Union, capturing details that satellites could not. As the program matured, targets became increasingly ambitious and unbelievable, pushing the boundaries of what the military-industrial complex would tolerate. Joseph McMoneagle was famously asked to view a location as it existed 1 million years ago, leading him to describe a dying civilization on Mars, characterized by massive pyramids and tall, thin beings seeking refuge from a planetary cataclysm. While the CIA officially dismissed such sessions as mental noise, the precision with which McMoneagle described the Martian landscape long before modern rovers remains a point of intense debate. The program wasn't just about looking across space, but seemingly across time itself, raising deep questions about the nonlinear nature of the universe and whether the human brain acts as a receiver for a signal existing outside our four-dimensional reality. Despite documented successes, Project Stargate was constantly under fire from the scientific establishment and internal skeptics who viewed it as an embarrassing stain on the agency's reputation. The project faced perpetual cycles of budget cuts, name changes, from Scan8 to Grill Flame, then Sunstreak and finally Stargate, and leadership reshuffles that kept operatives in a state of uncertainty. Critics argued the results were too inconsistent for tactical use and that hits were merely vague descriptions interpreted as accurate after the fact. In 1995, after a controversial review, the CIA officially terminated the program, stating it never provided an actionable intelligence product. However, many former insiders insist the closure was a strategic move to push the research back into unacknowledged black projects, where it could continue without congressional oversight or public scrutiny. The legacy of Project Stargate continues to haunt the American imagination, fueled by thousands of pages of declassified documents proving the government took psychic spying seriously for 24 years. If the program was truly a failure, why did it persist through 5 presidential administrations during the most scrutinized era of intelligence history? For the public, Stargate represents the ultimate intersection of science, conspiracy, and the paranormal, suggesting untapped powers within the human mind that authorities would rather keep under their control. Today, as we enter a new era of quantum physics and non-local consciousness, the findings of the Fort Meade viewers are being re-examined as early pioneers into a science we are only beginning to understand. The story of Stargate is a reminder that the most powerful weapon isn't a bomb, but the potential of the mind to pierce the veil of secrecy. For those who listen to the testimonies of original viewers, a chilling pattern emerges of a reality far more interconnected than we are taught, where distance is an illusion crossed with a single thought. They speak of the signal, a faint whisper of data flowing through every living thing, and the grueling discipline required to separate imagination from the objective truth of a distant target. This wasn't a gift for a chosen few, but a skill the military believed could be taught to anyone, hinting at a future where privacy no longer exists and bunkers are as transparent as glass. Whether Project Stargate was a desperate attempt to keep up with the Soviets or a genuine breakthrough remains one of the greatest mysteries of the 20th century, a hidden chapter that challenges everything we know about the limits of the human experience. As you reflect on the thousands of sessions archived in the CIA's reading room, ask yourself, if the government truly found nothing, why are parts of the Stargate files still heavily redacted? What did viewers see in the depths of the ocean, in hidden moon bases, or in the future of our civilization that was deemed too dangerous for the public to know? The answers may be buried in the Pentagon, or perhaps they are within us, waiting for the moment we learn to tune into the frequency of the universe itself. The era of the psychic spy may have officially ended, but for those who know where to look, the Stargate is still open, and the journey into the unknown has only just begun.